The faith was good. It was the faith that my parents had taught me. It was the church that I knew right from wrong. But the people telling me all these things weren't living the life, and were doing some of the most unchristian things that I've ever known. This is St. Bernadette's rectory. This is where Steve was abused.
This is the convent. Sister Judith Fischer's room was right up here. We ended up making a habit of having me spend the night.
I was raped by Father Norman Henry Christian, and I was about 10 years old.
I always put him on this pedestal as he's a priest, he's got a higher calling. Didn't have a clue as to what was going on. Not a clue until my daughter told me about what he had been doing with her, taking her places and telling her things about how he had been molesting little boys.
I held him and he cried and I cried. I think one of the things that upsetted me the most was that the police had had 2 previous accusations against Father Funky.
My perp died before I could take him to court. So went to arbitration with the Archdiocese. I wanted a public apology. They finally agreed to give me an apology, but it would have to be a non-public apology.
And that's how I found out that Norman was a pedophile. And then I sent him this letter saying how I would support him. That was only way was if he would turn himself in and say he was sorry to all his victims and accept whatever punishment he had coming to him.
And finally one night she asked if she could touch me down there, and I said no, and she assured me that it was normal. And from then on, we made love.
They had interviewed the parents and the children, and the parents refused to let the kids testify. A part of me understands that from being a parent and knowing that the first thing you want to do is protect your child.
I said I want the Archbishop, Raymond Burke, to give me an apology, and I want it written, and I want an apology for me, I want an apology for my mom, and I want an apology to my dad. A few weeks later, I went to a Christmas party, and there was one of the survivors was there, Anne, and she was telling me that she was promised an apology also, but she'd never gotten it. And, I mean, it just sent me over the edge.
The more I thought about the fact that I was 12 and Judy was 37, the more I had to crash my thoughts of that being this love story that I held so dear, and had to turn it into something that was abuse, because it was. She stole my childhood.
But if either one of them had come forward and testified against him, then my son wouldn't have been abused. On Friday, January 25th, Steve took a gun and shot himself through the heart. It's still very difficult to talk about that.
I had my first press conference and went in front of the cameras and said, you know, they promised me an apology. I want my apology. So I guess their not public apology turned out to be pretty public.
We wanted to give the victims a chance, at least let them know he was dying. If they wanted to contact him in any way, this was it, now or never. It wasn't hard for me when I saw what my brother was doing. I can't say it was hard. I just did it. And I don't regret it, because I've spoken out at all. And I would encourage anybody that knows anything about any abuse anywhere that they need to speak out about it as well.